Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Marie Cards. We are here for our weekly reading for March 30th through April 5th, 2025. And we start a new month this week, so that means I'm going to go ahead and start a new deck. This is the deck that we will be using. It is known as the Tarot of the Divine. Now, I actually have a smaller version of the deck. The bigger version of it actually comes with a booklet that explains all the different cards. The cards are actually based on different folklore from all over the world. So some of the stories in here I immediately recognize because I like a lot of folklore, and other stories I don't. And I'm going to probably eventually get the bigger version of this deck so that I can learn all the folklore to it. So yes, new month, new deck. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and see what you guys got going for yourselves and what the collective has going for itself for this week. Looking for the collective for March 30th through, whoa, okay, got a little excited there. That's too many cards though. The collective for March 30th through April 5th, 2025. How many of you, I don't think anyone in the United States could really view it, but I know people overseas could probably see the partial solar eclipse that happened this past weekend. I believe Friday, Saturday. Oh, there's the first one. 9 of Cups. I really like this deck because it's very colorful, very beautiful, and some really great. If you ever get the bigger version with the book, I actually gifted it to a friend of mine not too long ago. And 2 of Coins, which is the 2 of Pentacles, and she really liked this deck. And even though I gifted up, and there we go, 9 of Wands. Okay, so at least one of these folklore stories I actually know. I actually know the story behind the 9 of Wands, of course, the creepiest looking one. This one back here has to do with the story of Baba Yaga. I'll get to her in a second. I have actually worked with this particular dark goddess before. That's not her in the picture. That's a little girl. Baba Yaga's not in this picture. But this associates with the story of Baba Yaga. And what gives it away is the flaming skulls that make up the fence, and then the house in the back that walks on chicken legs. So this is, if I remember right, a Slavic folklore story. Baba Yaga is a Slavic goddess, dark goddess. And yes, I've worked with this energy before, not for the faint of heart, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's read the room first. So we have a 9 of Cups, we have a 2 of Coins, which is a 2 of Pentacles, and we have the 9 of Wands. So we got 2 9s in here. First of all, 9 usually has an association with completion, wrapping things up, which actually makes a lot of sense here because astrology wise, we are wrapping up a lot of different cycles within this last week and a half, 2 weeks. So it kind of makes sense that we have some 9s in here. A lot of the different signs may be wrapping up a lot of stuff. Some of it things that have been cycles for 2 years, some of it cycles that have been for 8 years, some that have been in cycles for 16 years. So if you're feeling kind of out of sorts, I know I have been. I'm a Gemini Sun, Cancer Moon. If you have been feeling kind of out of sorts lately, that's probably the reason why. We are just wrapping up an eclipse season, and there's been a lot. It's a lot energy-wise kind of happening right now. So if you feel kind of out of whack and don't know why, don't feel bad. You're not alone. You are definitely not in the minority with that. There's quite a few of us that are having just energy things, just up and down. So 9 of Cups. So first of all, we're starting off really strong. So we have 9 of Cups, 2 of Coins, 9 of Wands. 9 of Cups has to do with kind of getting everything that you want, that wish fulfillment kind of things. The cups have to do a lot with relationships, be it romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, work colleague relationships, any kind of relationship. So 9 of Cups means that you're kind of getting the relationships, or you're at least starting to draw in the relationships that you want, which kind of makes sense because, again, we've been through a very rough period, especially with Venus, I believe, still in retrograde. Venus, of course, has to do with relationships, especially romantic relationships. There's been a lot of relationship stuff in flux. There's probably been a lot of question marks, a lot of confusion, a lot of, should I, shouldn't I, things like that. Still not the time to make a decision on that just yet, but this is a really good sign that you're kind of pulling those relationships that you need to. Even if you don't have them in your life yet, you're either in the right mindset or you're getting in the right mindset to pull those relationships to you. Two of Coins coincides with the Two of Pentacles. This has to do with balance. And this is actually very similar kind of in a way to the look of the Two of Coins in the Rider-Waite deck. And this is literally about balance. So this is actually telling a very interesting story now that I say that. So it does. I don't think it's a coincidence that the card of balance is in between these two cards. And then we have the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands has to do with kind of, don't give up yet. I know you're tired and you're just like, oh my gosh, why is this still going on? Like why am I still in this? This particular story involving Baba Yaga, this girl, I kind of compare it to almost like a twisted kind of take on the Cinderella story, where there's this girl who has a really wicked step family that treats her like absolute dirt, and they send her off into the woods, and she stumbles upon this house, and I can't remember all the details of the story, but basically the house belongs to Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga gives her a series of tests to see if she's, worthy of, I think it was fire that she was sent to go get, if I remember right, to see if she's worthy of it. The girl actually gets magical help and is able to pass all the tests. And she takes, I believe, one of those flaming skulls back with her. And I've heard different versions of how the story ends. One is really kind of gruesome because she ends up getting, basically directly gets payback on her stepmother and step siblings who have been really horrible to her with that fire, but we're not going to go into that. So this Nine of Wands has to do with, being really close to giving up and basically the universe telling you, just hold on, everything's going to be fine. So putting all those together, it feels like this week, a lot of you are kind of balancing between these two energies, which again, makes sense considering that everything right now is kind of in an energetic flux. Everything's just, whoo, it's kind of a whirlwind, and a lot of us are feeling it. This is kind of reminding you, try to maintain your balance in this. It's going to be real easy to slip into one side where you are really close to wanting to just give up and feel like there's no hope, and like, oh, this is just, I'm not going to make this, or it's getting too hard for me to be able to handle. And then there's the other side where it's just like, oh, everything is great and lovely and everything and fluffy, and you're going to be bouncing back and forth between this a lot this week. And I think more than this, just giving, I'm not giving a feeling of like advice from this. This is just kind of the universe is just advising you, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. You're going to be dealing with this kind of energy this week. I'm not getting any kind of go this way or go that way. It's just this feeling of being told to you or letting you know, expect to be, kind of bouncing back and forth this week. Expect this up and down to kind of continue, and try to focus on maintaining balance. Don't go so far over here that you get into almost, I'm getting the phrase Delulu. So don't go all the way into like Delulu land. Be realistic, but also don't go all the way into gloom, doom, and despair all the way over here, thinking that, oh, how am I ever going to get out of this situation? Because that's kind of how this little girl was thinking at this point, like, how am I going to get out of this situation? I think the doll actually also talked to her and told her how to beat the test. I don't remember all the details of it, but when I saw this picture, I remember like, oh, I've read that story before for sure. But do not fall into despair either. This girl was able to beat the test because despite the fact that she felt moments of despair, she still kind of had a little slither of hope. And it's that slither of hope that the magic was able to spring from, and she was able to get solutions to her problems, either by others intervening, magical creatures intervening, or by her being able to figure something out, at the last minute. But it's kind of saying that, you know, you can problem solve and find the solutions out of this mindset. You can mindset your way out of this. Like, you really can. So don't get so overly caught up in the darker aspects of your mind this week that you completely negate this side, but also don't get so caught up in the happy, yay, I can have everything, that you become kind of blind to reality as well. So you're asked to kind of keep a balanced mind this week, which again, because of all the energies flying around and everything going on in the world right now, very difficult for a lot of us to do. But this is the universe kind of just telling us, hey, you can do this. Just keep your mind balanced this week. Keep yourself, you know, don't completely, you know, ignore the realities of what's happening. There are still things that have to be worked out and solved and done. But also don't completely get so wrapped up over here that you forget about this. The phrase I'm getting is the simple pleasures in life. You know, you don't have to be overly extravagant and like this card is, but don't go too far into either side. If you go too far over here, you may miss some really important things that you need to know. It just started raining right then. If you go too far over here, you may miss some important things that you need to know, that you have challenges that you have to overcome, things that you have to kind of problem solve. If you get too stuck over here, you're going to miss out on a lot of just simple pleasures and beauties of life, and even maybe even some opportunities as well. Yep, here comes the rain. So keep yourself right on time. So keep yourself balanced this week. That's the word for this week, balance. And reach out to someone if you find yourself, especially if you find yourself too far over on this side, that, you know, you can't really focus, or you're kind of in gloom and doom. I've been going through that for a few days myself, and I've had to constantly talking to friends about things that had nothing to do with what I was worried about has really helped kind of pull me out of that. So it might be talking to someone. It may be going and doing something that you really like. Even as simple as just going and getting a boba tea. I know that sounds like really simple, but that's one of those really simple but really nice little things in life that sometimes we just need. Despite all the whatever going on around us, sometimes we just need a simple pleasure. So don't negate those this week. You know, and don't worry. This seems to tell me that you're going to be just fine with problem solving, because in this story, the girl here was able to problem solve her way out of every situation and trial that she was faced with. So you can too. So don't let all of this intimidate you. You can do this, okay? Keep balance. That's it for this week. Again, this is the new deck we'll be working with for the month of April. As you can see, I've kind of switched up the background a little bit because it's spring now. So I put some little eggs and flowers. So we have some nice spring decorations around for the rest of April, all the way until we switch out to summer. So again, thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to like, comment, tell me about, you know, what do you think about this deck? Do you want to know more about some of the stories behind the different pictures? Again, like as I said, if one's come up that I know the story behind, I will definitely tell a little bit about the story. But yeah, and let me know what you think about the deck if you're interested in it. Like I said, there is a small travel version, which is the one I'm using here, and there's a bigger version that has a book and everything that goes with it. So yeah, I think that's it. You guys have a lovely last few days of March, beginning of April, and I'll see you guys here next week. Be blessed. Bye.